talk about 30 brutal business truths that I wish I knew in my 20s. So my name is Charlie. I spent my 20s building businesses, learning hundreds of new skills, failing, succeeding, even making enough money to become a millionaire. The things that I'm going to cover in this video will save you a ton of time and headache, and to be honest, make you a better entrepreneur. If you're in your 20s, this will be one of the most valuable videos that I personally have ever made, so please enjoy, and let's get started. Chase skills in your 20s, not money. Instead of just trying to make money in your 20s, you should be building up an arsenal of skills that help you really explode your income. So essentially for me, I was chasing money in my 20s, but I realized I should have just focused on building the skills first. If you build the skills, the money will come. It's a very simple equation and it's true for everyone. You do want to make money, but you want to prioritize the skills that you're learning in the process. That's without a doubt one of the most important things you should do. The types of skills you should be learning will vary depending on who you are, but in general, AI, sales, marketing, communication, speaking, more technical skills like building websites, for example, a good work ethic, these are all things you should be building. Number two, you will fail at multiple businesses. And the truth is that is completely fine and it's completely necessary. I spent my 20s failing at a lot of things. I basically tried starting every single business you can think of. Some of them worked, some of them didn't. I lost $25,000 in one of my businesses. It was a mess. And looking back on it, I'm actually really glad that I made all those mistakes. You see, not every business that you start needs to really succeed. In fact, I guarantee you some of the businesses that you start are going to fail. And that's just how it is. Now, what's more important than those failed businesses is what you learn from them. As long as you don't make those same mistakes later on in the future, those failures are literally going to be building blocks that help you find the thing that ultimately makes you a lot of money. For example, Slack exists because the founders team failed at building an online game. That failure basically forced them to pivot, and they created this internal chat tool that they hacked together, and now that is a multi-billion-dollar platform. Think of failure as basically tuition. Next, service-based businesses are the best business to start with no money and to learn entrepreneurship. Most of my first businesses were all service-based businesses. That's essentially where you do a service for a client and make money in the process. So for example, I did grad photography. I view that as a service. I did tutoring. That's also a service. And the great thing about this type of business is that it really doesn't cost much money to start at all. In fact, for example, tutoring costs literally $0 to start. You pick a service that can command a good amount of money per hour, do it for clients, build skills doing that, and that for me is the best way to start. Everyone watching this, if you haven't built a business yet, start by doing a service-based business. You'll thank me later. Next is solve a problem for a group of people very well, and that's going to get you rich. There's this formula that just exists in the world of business, and that is value times a number of people equals money. For example, you can help a very small group of people, but each person you help a lot, and that can make you a lot of money. Or you can help millions of people all a little bit, and that's still going to make you a lot of money. It's up to you to decide which one you want to go for. And whenever you can provide any type of value to someone, they will and they should pay you handsomely for it, as long as it's a high value skill. What makes a high value skill is that it creates a lot of value for someone. And as a result, that's why you can make a lot more money with those skills. Next, doing one thing really well will get you rich, then you can expand. So you always hear that the average millionaire has like 7 different sources of income. That's true, but they probably and very likely got rich from one thing. That was the case for me, right? I got rich from one thing and then I expanded. So don't look at all these entrepreneurs with all these different businesses, all these income sources and think, I need to do that right away. I can always guarantee you that there's going to be one certain thing that really does well for you, and that's what's going to get you rich. And from there on, you can expand. A real life example of this is Amazon. They want to become the best online bookstore. And that's what they poured all their energy into, right? After dominating that one thing, that's when they earned the permission and cash flow to basically expand into everything. Now let's talk about the hustle. So most overnight successes that you see probably took 5 to 10 years. For example, Mr. Beast uploaded for nearly a decade before his videos started doing well, right? We're talking hundreds of videos, super few views, and the compounding skills in like scripting, retention, production, all this stuff, it basically flipped the curve. Same thing with me, right? Maybe a lot of people might see what I've done and think, oh, he got successful really fast. But no, it took many, many years. Ask any successful person in the 30s, and it's very likely that they spent their 20s poor, failing a lot, trying a lot of things, and just sort of scraping by. Next, the stuff you ought to do is the stuff you probably don't want to do. Sometimes we get sucked into this whole hustle culture where we do all this stuff, but if you think about it, the stuff that you really need to do the most are probably the things that you want to do the least. Otherwise, everyone would just be doing these things and everyone would be successful. That's not the case. So look at your list of daily tasks, and likely there are some that keep getting pushed day after day. I know that's what happens with me, but those are the things that are gonna create the most impact on your wealth. So yeah, really prioritize doing the things you don't want to do. That's a guaranteed way to blow the competition out of the water. Next, working more hours is not the same as being productive. Most people cannot be productive for a long time, especially if it's a very long continuous block of time. So for example, in Japan, Microsoft actually tested a 4-day work week, and they reported about a 40% boost in productivity. You don't need to work every single day, right? You don't need to work 10, 12 hours per day to be productive. It kind of goes back to the previous point. You're probably filling your schedule doing things that don't really matter that much because those are likely the things that are easier to do. If you remove those things or delegate them to someone else, but focus really on the things you ought to be doing, you could probably work a lot less and maintain your growth or even increase your growth. That's what I've seen. And so yeah, really understand that not all work is the same. You can absolutely optimize this. So don't just work more hours, work a lot smarter. Okay, next is attention is the new currency. In fact, distribution is actually more important than the product in a lot of cases. So you guys know Gymshark, right? They went from a small bedroom brand to an absolute behemoth. And back in my 20s when they were blowing up, I just remember they were partnering with every creator possible. They rely on the social first distribution way before other people did, way before running a lot of ads. And basically the audience of those people built the brand. Attention is such an important currency. And that's why it's one of the best skills you need to learn. Marketing, right? How to actually get attention because it is easier said than done. In my opinion, social media, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, these are how you get the best and most quality views as well as quantity. And just a quick bonus for you guys watching this, live streaming shopping is absolutely blowing up. It's going to blow up even more in 2026 and 2027. We're going to see a huge wave of creators that just do like 4 to 8 hour live streams selling products, and they're going to be the new creator millionaires. Next is do stuff that doesn't scale at first. So for example, Superhuman, they're a really cool email platform. They grew by doing one-on-one onboarding calls, which of course is not sustainable, right? This was like very high touch selling that converted extremely well and also helped them understand what people wanted and make those types of tweaks. A lot of people, they'll start a business and think, okay, we immediately need to build all these complex systems so that we can handle 1,000 clients when they only have 5 clients, right? So you don't need to scale like that at first. In fact, do some things that are not scalable. It's going to make your first clients or customers feel a lot better. It'll help you learn the product better, what is wanted in the product by your clients or customers, and then slowly start optimizing building these systems. Yeah, basically it's okay if it's not super optimized at the start. That's actually better for a lot of businesses. Next, we want to take more risks. And I say this all the time, but everything good in life and business is on the other side of risk. So in order to have a great life, in order to have a great business, you absolutely need to take a risk. That is a guarantee. So if you're watching this video and you don't like taking risks, I really encourage you, try to get more comfortable with them. I know it's hard. I've struggled with this in the past as well. It's going to be a lifelong mission and journey to get better at taking more risks. But I truly believe that anyone, even people that are more risk averse, can absolutely learn the skill. It's going to make your life a lot more enriched. You're going to have a lot of these successes in life where you'll look back and think, dang, if I didn't take that risk, I wouldn't have gotten this outcome. Next, networking is not optional, and you absolutely need to spend energy building your network. I'm a perfect example of this, right? I used to live in LA. I didn't have a good network of entrepreneurs there. And once I moved to Orange County, that's when I started meeting a lot of people that were building their own businesses who I could actually talk to about business. And this helped me out so much. I built my businesses alongside a lot of my friends who built up their businesses too. And having that type of network is so important. Every person that's really successful has met at least one person in their life who introduced them to someone else. They got a business deal from that. And it just creates this sort of web of people. And those people present opportunities, help you out, and will probably play a huge instrumental role in your success. So please put some effort into networking, into making friends. It takes time. It does take getting a bit vulnerable at times, but it is 1000% worth it. Now let's talk about money. Okay, so taxes are often your biggest expense. So you should absolutely spend more time learning tax strategy. This is something that I wish I did earlier on. And if you think about it, it makes a lot of sense why you should spend at least 5 to 10% of your energy learning tax strategy. A lot of people will think, oh, I'm just going to pay my accountant or CPA to do stuff. But that's essentially delegating this when you don't know how to do it at all. And I truly think that every entrepreneur needs to learn the skill a little bit first in order to really maximize that hire. Spend some time watching a bunch of YouTube videos, understand that we need tax strategies that are working. And yeah, I know taxes can be pretty boring, but I actually think it's really interesting to learn about laws that can actually save you a lot of money. Even if you spend 2 hours per month learning about tax strategy, you're going to be better than 99% of people. Next is lifestyle creep kills entrepreneurs too. I know a lot of entrepreneurs and I do see some of them absolutely spending way more money than they should be. Lifestyle creep is a phenomenon that literally affects everyone in the world. Even the most frugal people in the world will be affected by it. Now, it's probably not enough to actually, kill them, but it's extremely easy to fall into the temptation of buying all these nice things. So if you're in your 20s and you start making some money, you don't need to immediately start spending more. Spending more costs mental energy too, and you should be spending that mental energy on building your skills, building your businesses. Buying all these different things also gives you more stuff to, have to track and think about and maintain. And so yeah, if you want really nice things, yeah, you can absolutely spend more if you start making more money, but your savings should increase exponentially as you make more money, while your spending might go up in a more flat linear curve. So lifestyle creep kills entrepreneurs, but one thing everyone can do to help is making your money work for you. So a product I use is the Gemini credit card, which lets me earn Bitcoin back on everyday purchases with no annual fee. This is stuff that you're already spending on, like gas, groceries, or food delivery. And so instead of just spending that money, you can get up to 4% back in Bitcoin. And since I'm personally bullish on Bitcoin's value, it just makes a lot of sense for me to just stack Bitcoin passively this way. Every dollar you spend should work for you, and with this, the rewards automatically build a crypto portfolio in the background. What's cool is if you just hold onto these rewards for a year, they appreciate over 277% on average. That's what I mean by keeping your money moving. Even the stuff you buy every day can add up to real wealth over time. So if you want to try it out, you can earn $200 in Bitcoin when you spend $3,000 in your first 90 days. You can go to gemini.com/Charlie or use the link down below to apply and see rates and fees in the description for more info. Now back to the video. Okay, next, find the highest ROI buckets within your business that you can pour time and money into. And surprise, do those things, right? We sort of talk about this thing where the things you ought to do are probably the things that you don't want to do. And the things you probably don't want to do are very likely the highest ROI things you can do. I know it's dumb, but that's just how it is. A lot of the times these things are mundane, they're stressful, they're hard, but they're without a doubt the highest ROI things. And so for example, for me, filming, right? This is a very high ROI thing that I should be doing more of. It is very hard to film. It takes a lot of energy out of me, but I should be doing it more, right? Same thing with hiring, same thing with building systems. There's probably a lot of things that you're going to do in your 20s that don't make that much sense for you to do, where it makes sense for you to actually delegate it out to someone else. Spend your 20s figuring out what those things are and really begin to delegate in your mid to late 20s, right? Everyone's journey and timeline is a bit different, but you're eventually going to see the shift where you stop doing these lower ROI activities and start doing only high ROI stuff. Next, money is a resource that's supposed to be moving at all times. Money is not meant to just sit in a checking account. That is the worst way to store your money. It should be invested into maybe stocks. It should be invested into your team, payroll, hiring people, hiring services, agencies, whatever. There's this constant flow of money that should always be happening. And that's not saying put your money into things that don't return you money, right? I'm not saying you should just keep buying cards because those cards are likely not going to make you any money. Put that money into things that will likely give you a positive ROI. So yeah, money should always be going. Money should always be coming in as a result. And it's basically this money flywheel that should always be spinning. I was way too frugal in my 20s. I didn't like spending money. But in the latter half of my 20s and my early 30s, I've really prioritized hiring. I think it's one of the most important things that I do. And essentially that's my money being moved all around. All right, let's talk about mindset. First, reputation is a currency, right? So you need to move with the mindset that your reputation is something you absolutely need to protect. There's going to be a lot of times in business where you could do something that could potentially harm your reputation in exchange for a short-term gain. And if you have the mindset that your reputation is sacred, it's so important, then you're not going to make those bad decisions. One bad deal could follow you for years. It could absolutely ruin your reputation. And so please spend your 20s protecting your reputation. It will 100% pay off in your 30s, 40s, 50s, as long as you're alive. Next, consume 2 or 3 podcasts per week. This is basically a non-negotiable for me, and it really keeps me in the loop on what's happening, the skills I need to learn, new opportunities, and all these things, right? And another really important thing, you guys, is you want to take notes. So some podcasts you should consume while at your desk or on your couch with a notepad or even your phone, right? I like to use my phone for these notes so I can scroll through them and review them anytime I want. You should also listen to podcasts when you're driving, right? If you're doing a 1-hour drive, spend that time learning. You can absolutely learn a lot. And essentially, you're learning from really successful business people. It makes 0 sense to not listen to 2 or 3 podcasts per week. These are free conversations between great people that you should be listening to. Next, have a mindset that you should always be moving, right? We talk about how your money should always be moving. Well, it's the same with you, your physical body. Always be in motion. Live your life like a movie. If you're filming a film and you were just sitting in a chair all day, that's really, really boring. You should be going out, meeting people, developing relationships, doing things, right? Working, going to the gym, doing all these things, and just really try to live your 20s when you have the most energy moving around. Because once you get to your 30s, your energy is going to be a little bit less. It's going to be a little harder. So really take advantage of that high energy decade of your life. Next, energy is your number 1 asset. So you need to guard your sleep, you need to improve your health, you need to exercise, and all this stuff helps give you more energy so that you can perform better as an entrepreneur. That's why I place such a big emphasis on my cardio, on my weightlifting, on my stretching, my red light therapy, ice bath, sauna, because I know this helps me become a better entrepreneur just because I'm going to have more energy, more brain power to actually build my business. Go to bed at a reasonable time, get at least 7 to 8 hours of sleep. And yeah, you should spend your 20s building this foundation of good habits. This is going to run well into your 30s, 40s, 50s, and your body is going to thank you, your mind's going to thank you, and your business is going to thank you. Let's talk about marketing. So without good marketing, every business will fail. For example, I had a clothing company back in the day, and it was a good company in my opinion, right? We had really solid clothes. They were high quality. I liked the designs, but that business failed because of a lack of good marketing. I spent all my time doing all this other stuff that was easier, when I really should have been spending more time actually marketing the product and the brand. If you build a business, it's very likely that you're gonna want to focus your time and energy on other things. Because to be honest, a lot of them are a lot easier. But the high ROI thing that you should be doing and learning is how to market. And instead of just spending money on this or that, you should be spending the money on the marketing, because that's what's gonna get you sales or clients. And that's what's gonna keep your business afloat. So please get really good at marketing. That ties us into the next thing, which is getting good at social media will bring you organic leads for years. One of the things that I'm the best at probably is getting organic leads with social media. So I've learned how to use YouTube, Instagram, TikTok to get leads, and it's how I was able to build my overseas recruiting company, Paired. If you want leads that are super warm, that trust you, that are willing to spend a lot more money with you and your business, then you need to do social media, and more specifically, long-form YouTube. Create these long videos giving value to your target audience, and that's going to generate an endless flow of leads for your business. If you're currently a high-level entrepreneur and you want a done-for-you YouTube channel, I'll put a link down below to my service, which basically does it all for you. Next, start learning paid ads sooner rather than later. So yes, we talk about organic marketing, but it's also very, very important for you to actually learn paid ads. I spent my 20s knowing absolutely nothing about paid ads. Now that I'm in my 30s, I'm really learning about them. And guys, this is basically how you scale a business to the moon. There's only a certain point that you can scale organic to, but once you figure out paid ads, that's when you can build a business that does millions of dollars per month. For example, you guys probably had heard of Movement Watches, MVMT. One reason they really succeeded was because they built a lot of simple, clean creatives and did paid ads on Facebook and Instagram early on. That's how they grew a ton. That's how they were able to get acquired for 9 figures. Are the watches great? Yeah, they're solid watches, but their paid ad strategy was phenomenal. So yeah, this is one of the skills that you should absolutely learn in your 20s. And last for marketing, you want to own your own audience. So yes, YouTube is great, Instagram is great, TikTok is great, but you should also be building your email list. Why? Because this is a community. This is an asset that you actually own yourself. If a social media platform goes down or the algorithm changes, you still own that email list. And that email list can generate sales for you for a long time. I wish I had spent my 20s building my list because that would become an invaluable asset for my team today. Collect emails with some type of freebie or lead gen magnet, get emails in exchange for that thing, and then you'll be able to sell basically anything. All right, let's talk about systems. First, we want to build SOPs and systems sooner. When I was in my 20s, I didn't even know what SOPs and systems were basically. And so I tried doing everything, which, is good at first, but you need to absolutely start building these things because they're what make a business a real business. Otherwise, you're just an employee within your own business. A really interesting example of systems is McDonald's. They built this crew and whole process of, building burgers. And essentially, they could pop up in a bunch of different locations with any crew and they could ship the same exact product. So for example, in a small business, you can create a 5-step SOP, a standard operating procedure on how to publish a video. That way you can hire anyone and they can read that SOP, get trained by it, and replace you so you can focus on other stuff. Know that they are instrumental for any business to run by itself. I know we talked earlier about doing things that don't scale at the start, but at some point you absolutely need to start scaling. And you do that with SOPs and systems. Next is hire earlier. So in my 20s, I spent many years trying to just do everything myself. I didn't believe in hiring other people. I really wish I had overcome this limited mindset, but I think a big reason why I didn't was because I thought I had to hire domestically. What I didn't know is that there are amazing talent everywhere in the world, and there are amazing talent that you can hire full-time for, let's say, $1,000 per month. So now actually a majority of my team are overseas in countries like Indonesia, Philippines, Mexico, Argentina, all these different places. And as a result, I save a lot of money on payroll, but I also have an amazing team. You don't need to spend your whole 20s just doing everything yourself. At some point, you're going to want to hire because there are going to be people that are better at something than you. As long as you have a fundamental understanding of that skill, I think you should be able to hire. And that's a big reason why I was able to scale my businesses. Next is get more good tools. I'm a tool junkie. I know a lot of people, they like to be super lean with their tools, but I have a lot of them. Some of my favorite tools are High Level. I think every single entrepreneur should learn this platform. It basically does everything and then makes you a way better entrepreneur. Every single business of mine is run on High Level and it saves me hundreds of thousands of dollars per month. So I'll show you a link down below to that if you want an extended 30-day trial. Plus, you get all the templates that I personally use in my businesses. Those are all free if you use my link. But yeah, my whole take on tools is these tools are built to make you money, right? They should give you a positive ROI because if they don't, you should just get rid of it. Find the tools that work for you and your business, get them, and get a lot of them. Other tools I use are Frame.io, ClickUp, Notion, ChatGPT, Gemini, basically so many of them. Next, AI can 3x your current team's output. So if you already have a team, I guarantee you they are not fully optimized because they're probably not using AI to its full potential. What you need to do is learn it, implement it, and actually have your team use AI. This way you can hire less people, have higher output per person, and really increase your profit margin. AI is one of those skills that you should absolutely learn in your 20s. Spend a few hours learning AI every single week, and it's going to pay huge dividends in your business. And that's learn the 10-80-10 rule. This is one of my favorite rules in life. And essentially, this is what it means. For any new project, I'm going to spend my time on the first 10% and the last 10%. So sandwich between that is 80%. So basically 80% of the work should be done by your team. 10% should be done at the start to basically ideate and set the whole thing up. And you come up with the very last 10% to do revisions, put final touches, and just sort of make it your own. This is a great formula to delegate and allows you to have good quality control while still delegating a majority of the work. There's absolutely zero way that I'd be able to do all the things in my business if it were all up to me. Instead, I come in at the start, I come in at the end, and all the middle stuff that's handled by my team. And then finally, you guys, the last one is go after it. You guys already know this. If you've made it this far, you're probably a hustler. You're probably successful. If you're not, you're going to be successful one day for sure. But yeah, I wish I spent my 20s going after it more. You have a lot less to lose when you're in your 20s. And so this is basically the best time to take more risks. Go out there, do more things, be in motion. And that's essentially the best way, in my opinion, to live your 20s, by just going after it. You guys are already watching this video, so you're already going after it, but there's so much more that you can do. And hopefully that ignites a flame within you to want to go out and do more things. This is one of the best decades of your life where you have the most energy. And so please, you guys, go after it. You will not regret it. So that's it for this video. Those are 30 brutal business truths that I wish I knew in my 20s. These are things that I love to pass on to you. And hopefully this video will save you time, money, energy, and allow you to become successful a lot easier. I really hope you guys got some value out of this video. I'm gonna have resources to all the things I talked about in this video down below in the description. And yeah, happy building, you guys. You're gonna absolutely crush it. If you guys got any value from this video, make sure to give it a like, make sure to subscribe, comment what you got out of it. And yeah, this whole channel is here to help you live the most successful life you can live. Thank you so much for your time, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.